waived, can be waived. Okay. So these are the scenario where the consent waiver is obtained. Principal investigator, which all other responsibility of the principal investigator? So ICF execution, IMP dose administration. The drug dose administration is also investigator responsibility. Like what is that, the correct dose of the administration. Now I'll just would like to give once the real incidents what happened in one of the site, the research site, where the coordinator was, the kind of fresh coordinator, and there was a dosing. It was an oncology site. There was a dosing was happening, and everyone was there, like principal investigator and all. They asked, like, now to the coordinator, bring this particular kit. And the coordinators, there was a online, the IWRS, you must have heard about the interactive web response system. Through IWRS, the randomization was happen, and randomization has suggested the kit number XYZ. Now the coordinator went to pick up the kit from the refrigerator. Coordinator has checked, this particular number kit was not available. Now you see this particular kit was not available in the refrigerator, and then coordinator has thought maybe it has been misplaced from my end. It's a very fresh coordinator, and she assumed that this has been misplaced. So I cannot tell, because in clinical research, the misplaced IP and all is a big violation. So that what she did is she picked up any kit, I mean other kit, and handed over to the nurse, and the dosing started. Okay, so that she picked up the other kit. Later this has come out, and this has realize that we administered the incorrect kit number. When they investigate, they realized the given medicine is also a same type of medicine which supposed to be given. So in a way that the little bit there is a safety compromise, but still it was okay to manage. Now what happened, why this was done, and what actually the reason was, why the kit was not there? What that coordinator assumed, that the kit is misplaced by me and not, like, the disclosed. In a investigation, it has been found that the kit was not at all received by the site. It was available at the central depot. So this was the challenge. Now what I am trying to indicate, that ideally that PI, before administration of the dose, PI should verify that what kit number is getting administered to the patient. This could have been created a more the serious implications. So now that kit was not dispatched even at the site, which coordinator has assumed that she has misplaced that. So this kind of the also challenges can happen. Investigator responsibility is like, once the delegation is done, the oversight, the monitoring of the data. Currently what happens, that investigator is always busy. They are busy in the patient care. They do not see, like, what exact they are taking the studies, but they do not have a time, or maybe they are not able to spare the sufficient time in the clinical studies. But as per the GCP, PI is responsible for all activities, even ethics committee correspondence, data collection, data monitoring. So whenever there is a clinical studies getting conducted, there are steps. The first, starting from the confidentiality sign, the first step is the site feasibility, then site qualification, then site ethics committee approval, site initiation. All this stage, investigator has to provide, or investigator has to provide give a sufficient time to the research. Okay, so that is also a responsibility of the principal investigator. We discussed about the protocol non-compliances. in study, during the study, like there are multiple non-compliances might happen. So whenever there is a non-compliance, it is a principal investigator responsibility to notify the non-compliance to the, to whom? Notification to whom? PI should notify the non-compliance to ethics committee. All non-compliances needs to be notified to the ethics committee. So that this is a responsibility. Now non-compliance, while non-compliance is notified, there should be a impact analysis. Have you heard about the CAPA, kappa? Corrective actions and the preventive actions. So any non-compliance needs to be assessed. There should be a corrective action. What is a corrective action? Corrective action. Let's say if the source document we found there is an error in the blood BP measurement. There is an error in the BP measurement. Now, what corrective action you will take? Just I am giving a very basic example. There is a error in the BP measurement what you have written. So what will be the corrective action? See the corrective, what I'm trying to, this is a very technical, the terminology, correction and corrective action. So basically first what we do is we measure and we correct it. Okay. So that is called correction. But the corrective action is you will see the other record as well, whether this error is limited to this or it has, the implication on other data as well. So you verify the other data and that is called corrective action. Now, preventive action. What will be the preventive action? So preventive action is either you train or sensitize that person. So that is a preventive action. So corrective action and preventive action, every non-compliant should be a, there should be a kappa. Audit. In audit also, principal investigator is a primary responsible person. So whenever there is a inspection from the regulators, audit from the sponsors or in-house audit, principal investigator is a primary responsible for that. So these are the all responsibility of principal investigator. Even record retention, just now we discussed about the record retention. If you do the research at your institute, it is under the PI. So PI is responsible for the safety of the data. So the data needs to be archived for a certain period of time. And the time already we discussed that 15 years for the clinical studies and 5 years for the other academic research. Along with the investigator, we heard about the sponsor. Now, who is sponsor? How you define the sponsor? Sponsor is always an external party. Who can be a sponsor? So can you also act as a sponsor individually? Can institute act as a sponsor? Okay. So friends, there are different the sponsors definitions. One is like, if you do external studies, it is a sponsor studies. There is a very clear that external parties or pharma, whoever is given a trial to you, they become a sponsor. When you do a research under institute, then institute will become a sponsor. And when you do a research on your individual capacity, then you yourself will become a sponsor. Now, why it is important to know the sponsor, who is a sponsor and why sponsor is important? Because in our rules and regulation, sponsor is liable for complete, in case of any injury or in case of any liabilities are there during the study, it is a responsibility of the sponsor. So let's say if there is a serious adverse event and if the financial compensation to be given to the participant or participant legal head, then it is a responsibility of the sponsor. So if you do the research And if you are a sponsor or your institute is a sponsor, they will be responsible for financial compensation. So likewise, that all liabilities defined on the sponsor. GCP R3 has a very clear responsibility for the sponsor. The sponsor, starting from the protocol design till the completion of the study, sponsor is responsible. So in protocol design also, approval of the protocol is a responsibility of the sponsor. When the study start, kick-off meeting, starting from the kickstart, sponsor is responsible for conducting the study, oversight of the study. So even though sponsor delegate that study to the research organization, they will be complete responsible for quality aspects. When we talk about the quality aspects, have you heard about the Alcoa principle? Can anyone has heard about the Alcoa? Is a very important quality aspects and which is related to the good documentation practices. And the everyone, the sponsors, PI, everyone has to follow this principle. Alcoa. A stands for? This is very important. A stands for attributable. Okay, now what is attributable? How you link in the clinical research documentation? Attributable. Okay, so let me give an example. Like, see, usually when there is the vital parameters are recorded, there is a way like you just have noted the vital parameters. You have written. There is nothing, no one, after that you have not signed, you have not written the name. Then what is the challenge? You will not be able to make out that who has recorded, when it has been recorded, right? So this Alcoa principle says that A stands for attributable, means that whatever the data is recorded, it should be attributable and we will be able to know that who and when this activity is performed. Okay. So A stands for attributable. L stands for, I think what is that? L, legible, right? Legible. So the word itself says that whatever the data is there, legible. C, what is T stands for? C stands for contemporaneous, right? Contemporary. What is the meaning of contemporaneous? In research, whatever documentation you do, that should be real-time documentation. So contemporaneous. So like, let's say what happens when you do the vital signs recording or the medical history recording, it should be then and there, it has to be completed in the source document with the time, date and time. So real-time documentation is contemporaneous. Usually what happens in the research, the coordinators does the documentation activity in a later, once the activities first they complete, the documentation happens retrospectively. So that's not a correct practice. Alcoa. So C is a contemporaneous. Now what is that? O stands for original. So whatever the data in the clinical research is original, you have to maintain the original source documents, even though you have attested copies, but original source documents to be maintained. And Alcoa A stands for accurate. So there is a accuracy, that all the data which is recorded is accurate. So this is how the responsibility of the sponsors to ensure the quality, and they also have to implement some processes and the systems in place to ensure the quality of the clinical data. There is a third important stakeholder is a research associate, CRA, clinical research associate. In the clinical industry, we must have heard about the CRA is quite often terminology. Now, CRA, what is the responsibility of the CRA? CRA responsibility is to provide a appropriate oversight of the studies. So I started, as a CRA, and our job was to keep monitoring the trials on a regular intervals. So there is a project management plan, there is a monitoring plan. According to that plan, the monitoring visits needs to be conducted. So there are various stages which defines that when the monitoring to be conducted. So once that the study initiated, once the first patient recruited, when there is some safety related concerns, when there is a high recruitment, when there is a low recruitment, these all are various the triggers. At that time the monitoring visit needs to be conducted. In typically the during the monitoring visits, as a CRA, they have to verify, they have to cross verify the data, the original data versus transcribed data. So that is called the source data verification, SDV. So they verify that, and that all verifications and whatever that deficiencies are there, that needs to be notified through follow-up letters and the monitoring visit reports. So this is how the monitoring visits are getting conducted. We discussed in the GCP that now the various approaches are there in terms of the monitoring visit. Previously, it was a face-to-face and on-site visit was there. Now, there are risk-based approach in the monitoring. What is that? RBM, risk-based monitoring. Now, what is that risk-based approach? So basically, the risk-based approach, the sites will be defined on the risk criteria. And once the site is defined on the risk criteria, based on the high risk, low risk, and moderate risk, the monitoring frequencies can be defined. And according to that, they do the monitoring, the remote monitoring or the on-site monitoring. So this is all about the roles and responsibility of investigator, sponsor, and the clinical research associates. So I think here maybe we can this is end with my the second discussions. We have some technical challenges in the system, but anyway, I think we try to cover the almost all the aspects related to the all stakeholders. Maybe what is next? Yeah, we have some question answers. It is coming. Okay, maybe I think here not required presentation. Ah, okay, I think at the end of this two session, like I have a few questions for all of you. Maybe I hope like in this question I'll get a answer apart from this three row. Maybe I will get an answer from that the uh, other row as well. So let me just ask few questions. Oh, it is now working. Sorry. Okay, fine. Anyway, we'll skip this. No problem. It's a pointer. Okay, the next question is a participant experiences severe nausea and dizziness during a phase 2 drug trial. The site staff do not report the event because they consider it as a common side effect. What is the correct GCP compliant action as per you? No need to report. Only report if the participant withdraws. All adverse event must be documented and report to the sponsor after the study ends. How many C? Almost everyone. Good. Thank you for response. Thank you very much. So the answer is C. Okay. An investigation reveals that MedPharma CRO has been conducting clinical trials without the requisite registration under NDCTR rules 2024. What action can the central licensing authority take against the CRO for this non-compliance? Issue a warning to the CRO, suspend or cancel the CRO registration, impose penalties or fines as deemed appropriate, or all of the above. Great. I think I should not take a presentation then, I supposed to have, all question and answer. Nice. But here, do you know, I think this question is a new question. Do you know recently, for all your information, I mean, this is very important. Recently, like say you all know that your ethics committee should get registration with the DCGI. Everyone knows that, right? But now the CRO who does the study, very soon, I think from 1st April 2025, they have made the mandatory that CRO also should get registered with CDSU. So like, penny CRO is coming and doing a study at your site, you can check this requirement. They should not only ask your registration certificate, you also have to ask whether you are registered with the DCGI or not. Okay. So yes, this all of the above. During a clinical trial, it is discovered the that several participants did not receive adequate information about the potential risk and benefits of the drug. So what step should the sponsor and investigator take to address this issue under NDCTR 2025-24? So immediately inform ethics committee and CLA about the oversight, provide all affected participants with comprehensive information, obtain renewed informed consent from all affected participants. Sure. All of the above. Sure. Everyone or anyone has a difference opinion? Immediately inform to ethics committee, correct? Provide all affected participants, correct? We should write. And obtain renewed informed consent from all affected. So I think it is technically all of the above. Good. Good. So I think, I don't know whether it is the impact of, training, or maybe you are already aware about all this. A principal investigator also owns a share in a company sponsoring the study. The information is not disclosed to the ethics committee. What is the GCP compliant response? Which one? B, right? Recently we discussed, right? COI. So the conflict must be disclosed to the ethics committee, correct? Fine. A sub-investigator begins working on a study without receiving GCP protocol training. They begin performing informed consent and clinical assessments. What is wrong? No wrong, nothing wrong, right? Their sub-investigator can do that. Allow them to work under supervision. They can be trained later. They must not perform studies duties without documented training. Only training on the protocol is necessary. C. C, D, C. Any other option? Yes. Any other option? Which one, ma'am? A. Allow them to work under supervision. Practically, what is wrong in that? Okay. So the correct answer is obviously C, that training is very, so that much of importance of this training what you people are taking currently. It's not like, the our training only, but yes, you need to ensure that valid certification should be there before you start doing the study. A CRA finds that several informed consent forms are missing the investigator's signature, although participant signatures are present. So participant signatures are there, but PI signature is not there. Is it okay? Only the participant signature is required. This is minor issue, can be ignored. Okay. The investigator must sign to confirm the consent was obtained properly, and the sponsor can sign instead. Which one? C is mandatory. PI signature. Okay. Fine. So the investigator must sign to confirm the consent. So for your information, without PI signature, document cannot be considered as completed. And also one more important point, that once that patient and PI signature is done, you need to give a one copy to participant. Original you can retain at the site, but one copy needs to be given to the participant. A research assistant discusses participant data in a public cafeteria while on a call with CRA. So, participant confidentiality. I think in most of the time, multi-speciality hospitals and all the common places, they put generally a board that do not talk about the patients in common areas. So that is just nothing but it is a GCP principles that we all have to protect the confidentiality of participants and patients. A newly hired study nurse begins administering IP product performing performing ECGs, but the CRAs later find she was not on delegation log. There was one of the okay, so delegation and hadn't received the GCP training. What GCP principle is violated? Oh, right. I think we discussed today, right? In one of the, it was written that responsibility should be defined. So, like, yes, there was a there is a GCP principle. The person who does the activity should be qualified by education, training, and experience. And how you will come to know? By delegation log only. So, documentation is required. Good. A research assistant sends a subject list and lab results to the sponsor using a personal unsecured email account. No identifiers were encrypted. Which GCP requirement is breached? C. Correct. Obviously, the subject confidentiality and data protection. So this was breached. So these are all linked with the GCP principles. Okay, great. Done. So thank you so much. Thanks for listening to me. Hope that presentation was helpful to you. And this is just a start. Maybe anytime, we are here, but in later also you can reach out to us. We can help you in all kind of questions related to clinical research. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, your high tea has been arranged outside. 10 minutes break. We request you to come back again. Two more sessions will be there. It's mandatory. I think you are coming back. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can I have your attention, please? Is everyone charged up after a tea? Or should I ask, like Vicky Kaushal, how is the Josh? So, yeah. So, next two sessions I'll be taking for you. First one is safety reporting and compensation. So, safety reporting is nothing but the serious adverse event reporting and the compensation related to that. We just discussed very briefly in the previous session about SA because we have a detailed session on SA, and that's the reason we have kept a full discussion here. So, can any one of you let me know when an event is described as a serious adverse event in clinical research or a trial? So you can give any criteria, like any of the criteria that you know before searching on Google. Maybe you can just give me any criteria which you know can be considered as a serious adverse event. So if there is a trial going on and the subject has vomiting or a headache, do we consider it as a serious adverse event? Do we consider it as a serious adverse event? Yes or no? How many yes, how many no? Can you raise hands that if a subject or the patient has headache or vomiting, then it is considered as a serious adverse event? No. So there are certain criterias wherein that event is considered as a serious adverse event, and that is what we are going to see in the next slide now. So these are the criterias where an event is considered as a serious adverse event, where the participant who is in the clinical trial, who is in the course of clinical trial, not necessary at that particular trial site, but in the duration of that trial, experiences death, permanent disability. It can be a permanent disability to any of the body functions. Then hospitalization due to any say now the patient starts vomiting, but the vomiting doesn't stop with the standard medical care and the patient needs hospitalization, then it is considered as a serious adverse event. The patient can be outdoor patient, can be healthy patient as well. Sometimes the trial is conducted when the patient is already in the hospital. So there are a lot of studies where the trial is ongoing on the hospitalized patient, but maybe the duration is say a week or a 3 days or 4 days, but the hospitalization has extended for a more for a certain period of time. Then definitely it is another criteria for SAE. Persistent significant disability or incapacity. So this is again, there is a disability and maybe a slurred speech, and it is not correct getting corrected, and that is persistent, then it is considered as SAE. Congenital anomaly or birth defect. So if a pregnant woman was there in a trial and the child who's taken birth has any birth defect, and the pregnant woman was there in the study period, then definitely it is considered as a SAE, any life threatening event. So not death, but just before death. So that is a life threatening event. And these are the few criterias where a subject or the patient considered is going through a serious adverse event, which we term as SAE. Okay, clear? Any other criteria other than this which you have come across, or you know that maybe we have not added here, but you have seen that that can be considered? You are open, this is an open discussion. You can tell me, ma'am, you have not added the criteria here. Definitely we can consider that. But as far as the NDCTR rules and regulations are considered, these are the criteria that we take into consideration. This is one of the most important aspect of SAE, timelines. Because if you miss, see, in research, we say if it is not documented, it is not done. But also, if you don't document it on a particular time, then also it is a violation or deviation from your protocol. So these timelines are extremely important if you are into research, if you are a principal investigator or ethics committee member or from a sponsor side. These are the timelines you must know when any essay happens. So initial essay report, when the now there was a debate on this, and when can we consider the initial essay. So essay, many times the patient is not at the site, and maybe they are in the trial period, but they are not at the site. So the initial essay report is considered at the knowledge of essay. So when the subject or any subject's a relative calls to the principal investigator that the subject was hospitalized due to some illness, then the knowledge of SAE is considered as the first report of SAE. And from that time, so either the SAE has happened at the trial site or the knowledge of SAE, from that time, 24 hours is calculated. So, what is the responsibility of PI here? At the knowledge or occurrence of SAE, within 24 hours, they have to report it to CLA, Central Licensing Authorities, sponsor, and ethics committee. So ethics committees. Okay. Okay. Okay, now. Okay. So sponsor, EC, and Central Licensing Authority. These are the three reportings. PI, this is the PI's responsibility. So then within 24 hours, they have to inform. Now, what does ethics committee do here? As and when they get this 24 hours report, the ethics committee also has a discussion on that essay. So ethics committee will discuss this essay till the essay is closed. So ethics committee will also discuss, sponsor, the Central Licensing Authority will get the first 24 hours report, and the sponsor. Next, post-analysis, sponsor and investigator will give a 14-day due analysis report to whom? Head of the institute, EC, and CLA. So here you will see that EC's role is there in both 24 hours and 14-day due analysis report. Now, why this is important to let the ethics committee members and ethics committee know the both the reports, because based on that the analysis will be done by ethics committee. And why the ethics committee analysis is necessary? Because the prime responsibility of ethics committee members is to maintain the rights, safety and well-being of the subject. So they have to analyze the 14-day report and the 24-hour report and analyze and give an opinion. So that is the reason these two reports are important, and that is the reason you say that EC opinion is given 30 days on the 30 days after. So when we say these 30 days, 14 days and all these, it is calculated from that first day, first 24 hours report, 14 days from there, 30 days from there, not after the 14 days report, but from the first day of that SAE notification, the 30 days are calculated. Then there is an expert committee opinion. Expert committee opinion comes in place only when there is a death, and it is completely optional. But again, the timeline says that within 60 days. So always when we say that 60 days, it is on or before 60 days. So ethics committee, is it like, on the 30th day? No, before that also they can do. So within 30 days, they have to give their due analysis report to the Central Licensing Authority, that is DCGI. And how they do it? They do it through a portal, which is Sugam portal, and that is where the SAE is monitored and SAE is acknowledged. Second, then after expert committee report, DCGI will order the within 90 days, on or before 90 days, they will inform the sponsor representative their opinion. So in case of death, there are different formulas. In case of relatedness of the drug, non-relatedness of the drug, there are different formulas. Based on that, they will advise a compensation, and they will give their report to the sponsor representative within 90 days. And last timeline is about payment to the patient, which again sponsor representative has to give, and that is the last aspect of serious adverse event, is compensation paid to the patient, which is 120 days. The timeline is from that 90 days. After the 90 days timeline is over, from there within 30 days they have to pay the compensation to the patient. So this is how the entire SA timeline, till the payment is gone to the patient, the SA is continuing. We cannot say it is closed. Once the EC gives opinion letter, maybe from EC side, but EC also keeps a track that whether the patient has got the payment or not. And once it is paid, the from the PI, from the sponsor, EC may get a notification that so and so payment is done to the patient. Any questions in the timeline? Any clarifications required or any confusion? Can ask here, or we can discuss it later also. But at this stage, because this is most important, when you're handling a trial, SA reporting is the most important aspect of the trial. So we had some scenario based questions, but let me just. A participant in a clinical trial for a new hypertension medication develops a severe skin reaction and is hospitalized. The event is assessed as potentially related to the study drug. So when should the site report this SAE to both the EC and the CLA? Within 24 hours. So here the answer is not coming down. So you will have to raise for A how many, for B how many hands, and for C and D. So for A, for answer A, within 24 hours of awareness of the event. Answer B, anyone? Within 14 days of receiving the hospitalization report. Okay. Within 30 days if event is considered non-life threatening, and only report if the SAE results insignificant. So can I say the answer is A? Within 24 hours of awareness of the event? Yes? Yes, maybe right hand, no, maybe left hand. So, okay, thank you. Considerations for determining study relatedness of injury, death, or permanent disability. Now here, these criteria, if all these criteria are applied, then the SAE is considered related to the study. Related. So it is very important to report the SAE whether it is related or not related, because we are going to see why it is related. Compensation is based on that, and that is the reason calculating and assessing the relatedness and non-relatedness is very important. There are few criterias which we have mentioned here. If the any of the criteria is fitting, it can be called, or all can be called as related to the study. So first and very important is A due to IP. So whichever is the investigational product, if there are certain side effects mentioned and that A is clearly showing that very significantly that this has happened due to the study drug which is administered, it is no brainer that this is a related SAE. Violating approved protocol. How? So the protocol says that the dosing is done to the patients maybe thrice a week or maybe 4 times a week. So there will be a particular dosing criteria. But the subject was dosed more than that. This is a violation of protocol, and due to that, serious adverse event has happened. And this is where it will be considered as related to the study. Due to concomitant medication. Okay, now there are in every clinical trial, with the study, with the IP, there will be concomitant medications also involved sometimes. So if that concomitant medications has certain side effects already mentioned, and the subject is showing some of that, then it will be a relatedness criteria. Of course, if the child in the uterus is experiencing A due to the medication, this will be a very serious related criteria. Failure of IP to provide intended therapeutic effect. You are giving a subject to lower the hypertension or manage the hypertension, and it is not achieving the desired results, then this is failure of IP. So your investigational product is mentioning that this is given to subjects because they are coming with high BP, but there is no change in that. And or for lowering the blood sugar, but there is no change in that, and it will be considered as an SAE related to. And due to that, if the patient is falling sick or getting hospitalized, then it is considered as a failure to IP. No standard medical care given. So no standard medical care given means for uh, there are certain criterias in the protocol that when there is any AE happens, there is a standard medical care which is given as soon as that AE happens. Vomiting happens, what to do. If there are loose stools, what to do. Fever. If that standard medical care is not given, and in that case the subject falls sick even further, then that is considered as no standard medical care given, and hence this SAE is related to the study. Any of the CT procedures involved in study leads to SAE. I would like to give a very classic example here, which I have I have seen, because I am also associated with an ethics committee since past 8 years. One of our CRO experienced a very classic SAE. So that was due to the wrong cannula insertion. So for the dosing and for blood sampling in BAB study, a cannula is inserted to the subject till the time they are housed there in the facility. And that cannula insertion went wrong, and that led to the renal failure for that particular subject. This was a very classic SAE. It is one of its kind that I have seen. And this was happened because any trial procedures involved in the study which led to this SAE. So these are the criteria where the relatedness of the SAE is decided. It is important because based on that, the DCJ or the Central Licensing Authority, from the opinions of sponsor and PI and ethics committee, are going to decide what compensation to be given to that subject, or in case of death, to the subject's relative or whoever he had nominated for. Uh, Medical management in SAE, again, another very important factor, like how the medical management and till when the medical management is required. So medical management will be required as long as required as per the investigator opinion. So till the time the principal investigator is feeling that okay, the subject is out of danger, and this SAE can be considered as okay, now he or she is out of this particular whatever condition they were facing during the study, and then it is considered as long as required as per the investigator opinion. Also, until proven unrelated to the trial or study, till that time the medical management is important. If fails, now what will happen if medical management is not given properly? Central licensing authority can suspend the study or restrict sponsor or representative to conduct any further study or any other actions as possible. So when there is any SAE, the documentation is important, the proper medical management is important, because the study can be terminated, and also they can restrict to conduct any further trial. So it is at stake, your trial is at stake, any further clinical trials which are coming to you, it is at stake. So management of SAE is very, very important. As I was saying that, why the relatedness. So these are the formulas. I don't think, these formulas we need to discuss, but I just want to highlight on one thing. You can see that compensation formula, these are as per schedule. Now, in case of death, base amount is just 8 lakhs. So 8 lakhs is the base amount. Now there is a criteria, there are factors, there are age factors, there is, what kind of, at what age is it has happened, any comorbidities were there, all that. But the base amount is taken as 8 lakhs if, the compensation is given after the death of the subject. So these are various criteria. You can see that when they say when the risk factor is calculated, the risk as per terminally ill 0.5, patients with high risk 1, 2 patient with moderate risk, patient with mild risk, and healthy volunteers or trial subject of no risk. So terminally ill patient, 0.5, expected survival not more than 6 months, definitely the criteria changes as per that, and highest to the healthy volunteer of the trial subject. So the subject who was healthy and had no comorbidities, nothing, in that case the compensation becomes higher. This is what I would like to highlight. However, in case of patients whose expected mortality is 90% or more within 30 days, a fixed amount of 2 lakhs should be given. So that 8 lakhs becomes 2 lakhs here. And there are various other formulas as well, wherein compensation formula, this is as per 7th schedule. And other than death, a permanent disability, other than death, congenital anomaly or birth defect, and chronic life-threatening disease, and reversible SAE. So the case that I was telling, that due to wrong cannula insertion, that subject faced renal failure, that was a permanent disability, because that subject went into a lifelong dialysis after that. And that is the reason that subject falls under the criteria of, other than death, a permanent disability. So when ethics committee or anybody is calculating the SAE compensation for the subject, they must keep these formulas in mind and these calculations. So it is not given always as per the study compensation, but there is a formula related to that. So before this, there is a portal which is called as Sugam portal. So the traditional method, before this portal came into existence, the SAE report was couriered or sent by mail to DCJ office. Now it has become really easy, and that is the reason that the timelines are maintained. So before, if that 30 days timelines was to be maintained, you had to send the mail at least 7 days in advance, so that it reaches exactly on that 38th day or before. But now, due to this portal, it has become easy that even on the 29th day, EC can write their opinion through the Sugam portal about the SAE. So each one will have their own timeline, and they submit on the Sugam portal. PI submit detailed SAE report on Sugam portal in 24 hours. Then sponsor review SAE and provide a causality assessment to Sugam along with the PI report on 14 days. And ethics committee review SAE, report and recommend compensation on 38th day. Here, I would like to say one thing. When we say that EC is recommending compensation, here EC is completely, they are not influenced by a sponsor or by PI to, how much compensation to manipulate. EC is completely independent. When they discuss the SAE, they give their opinion and whatever they feel. And that is a reason, we have medical scientists, clinicians as EC member in the quorum, so that they discuss the relatedness, not relatedness, or the causality assessment as per the condition of the subject. And that is how EC reports on the Sugam portal. What happens on the Sugam portal? There are the sponsor will map the EC, and then the sponsor will map the EC, and EC will see that, and they will write their opinion with. So they will also map the EC with that. So if say we have one ethics committee, ACE Independent Ethics Committee. Now, any SAE happened with the clients or the sponsor that we are dealing with, there they will map ACE IC in their reporting, and the EC will, in accordance to that, will give opinion letter. But it is not always necessary. This is online reporting. Sometimes the sponsor will not map the EC, and EC can give their 30-day opinion offline also. But whatever is done, it is done on this portal now. No mails and no paper copies are accepted anymore. Yeah. So that's what I said, that, this is the portal, Sugam portal. That is the DCGI office, but it is, they don't accept. However, some ECs are still doing it on Sugam portal and also sending the hard copies to the CDSU office for their own references. But it is enough if you do it on Sugam portal. So this was regarding the serious adverse event, and any clarifications or anything that you have come across, you would like to share your experience. Any EC member here? Any ethics committee member here? Yes, sir. So any SAE which you observed and you felt that, which was like, do you want to share your experience regarding SAE? Anything that which was like unique? Okay. So how you manage, like, compensation and all, you use this formula? It has not happened. Okay, fine. So I hope, it was a self-explanatory presentation, and if you have any questions regarding that, we can take it at the end of our next session. And we have a Q&A session for you in the end of all our sessions, so we can discuss in that. Exit ಮಾಡಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇದು NTCT. So this is the last presentation for today's training session. This is new drug and clinical trial rule in India with site and EC perspective. But we will cover other aspects also. Now, what is NDCTR 2019? Anyone knows why it is written 2019 here? And if this came in place in 2019, then what we were doing, like, what regulations we were following before 2019? Anyone Any idea, like, a vague idea? Even if your answer is wrong, it's okay. This is a training session, not Viva. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Uh, COVID, yes, but this actually not related to that. To some extent, maybe. But 2000, till 2019, there was Schedule Y, and this is an upgraded version of Schedule Y, which came in the year 2019, and that is why, and it has lot of changes. I won't say changes in a trial perspective, but certain definitions, certain rules and regulations are highlighted and advanced, and that is why NDCTR 2019 is followed now, because it is more critical when it comes to the regulations as a EC and a site perspective with respect to clinical trial. That's it. It's as simple as that. It is an advanced version, and that is what we all are following now. Why it is important, we will see. So as I said, the new drugs clinical trial rules issued by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare on date also they've mentioned, which is 25th March, and aim to enhance clinical research and alter drug approval and trial conduct regulations, supplanting Part XA and Schedule Y of the drugs and cosmetic rules. Supplanting, it is just enhancing. These rules will be applicable to uh, new drugs, investigational new drugs for human use, clinical trials, bioequivalence studies, bioavailability study, and ethics committee. Now, here I would like to highlight 2 points that all of us have heard the word clinical trials and clinical research. What is bioequivalence and bioavailability study here? Have you ever heard of this terminology? Um, have you come across, or do you know what is a BABE study and how it is done, and where it, like, on which individuals, like whether it is done on patients or healthy participants? So any idea? Have you heard of this term? Like, can you tell me if you have heard this term or not? BAB studies, yes or no? Yes. Okay. Good. So, yes. So, NDCTR has clearly mentioned the regulations for, of course, the clinical trials, but they have also mentioned bioequivalence, bioavailability study specifically, that the rules and regulations for them also, which was not considered too much in the previous guidelines. So this is the another aspect why NDCTR is said that it is just supplanting to Schedule Y. Some definition, adverse event, the serious adverse event we already saw. So adverse event is any unexpected health issue that appears during the treatment. So we know that essays, we saw the criterias, but there are adverse event, like, subject is in the trial site experiencing some headache or vomiting or anything which is abnormal, then that adverse event has to be noted, not necessarily reported to the EC. Now here I would like to say that something which is considered adverse event in the beginning may turn into serious adverse event if those criterias what we saw are applied. So vomiting, persistent vomiting, not stopping, hospitalized, adverse event converted into serious adverse event. But the basic, what is adverse event? It is any unexpected health issue. They didn't expect that. In BAB studies, subjects are housed in the facility. There are, CROs who have the study sites, and the subjects are housed there for maybe 2 or 3 days or whatever as per the protocol says, the criteria of the study. In after dosing, there will be single dose given to the subjects. After dosing, if subject is experience any abnormal health concern, then it is considered as an adverse event. Investigational new drug, so it is a altogether new drug, means a new chemical or a biological entity or substance that has not been approved for marketing. So this is a very clear definition for investigational new drug which is given in NDCTR. What is placebo? I am sure all of you know what is placebo means. An inactive substance which looks and exactly similar to the test drug, and that is placebo, an inactive substance visually identical in appearance to a drug being tested. So serious adverse event we've already seen. In which areas NDCT has improved, or the regulations are enhanced or added? These are all the aspects where NDCT are they have tried to become more critical and perfect. So I'll just read one by one. So pre and post submission meetings, ethics committee. So ethics committee responsibilities and criteria, the quorum requirement and everything has become very critical, and it is mentioned very clearly. See, there are the rules and regulations were always there, but what are the unless and until you don't give A is equal to B and B is equal to C, so they have mentioned that very particularly what should be the quorum requirement, what to do in case of any quorum member does not appear, how to manage the what should be the timelines for any approval or meetings, and who should be qualified as per their designation, who whether they are qualified to become the EC member or not. These are the perfect rules and perfect definitions mentioned. Compensation for injuries, we just saw that it is really very advanced now in NDCTR. Then new definitions that also we saw. Approval timelines also very clearly mentioned. If we don't have the time to read the entire NDCTR here, but very clearly they have mentioned that how your SAE timelines, or you discuss a study and within how much time do you approve. So very clearly it is mentioned, and that has what has happened due to that. Why there was a need, first of all, schedule Y was running, why there was a need of NDCTR? Because the guidelines were not clear, and that is why sometimes it was misused by the researcher or by whoever are the stakeholders in the clinical research. It was misused, and to stop that misuse, these guidelines have become more critical. Post trial access, online application portals, they have mentioned, like SAE, how we saw that Sugam portal is being used, and so that is, they have given the guidelines for online application portals also, and regarding orphan drugs. So these are the aspects where NDCT 2019 has become critical and given perfect guidelines, where you just read that, you follow that, and you know that you are not doing anything wrong. Now, anyone who wants to conduct a clinical trial in India, these are the prerequisite. So what is Drug Controller General of India, DCGI? DCGI permission is prerequisite. Without, if you are conducting a clinical trial, there are certain other studies where DCGI permission or DCGI clearance is not required, but particularly for clinical trial, it is required that DCGI approval is mandatory. DCGI approval and EC approval. EC approval is mandatory everywhere. You are like most of the studies we saw in the last presentation also. There are few studies which is EC approval is not mandatory, but most of even the nutraceutical nutraceutical trials which are happening requires EC approval. So prerequisite for a clinical trial, DCGI, EC approval, and CTRI registration. That we saw that what is CTRI registration, we just saw in the previous presentation, but it is mandatory before you start your trial. It will not go parallelly, like you have started the trial and then parallelly you're taking these approvals. Before you enroll the first subject in your study in the clinical trial, all these mandatory documents are there on your table, and only then you can start this trial. Clinical trials, so these are just some bodies which govern the clinical trial. Central Council for Indian Medical Act 1970, Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940, and Medical Council of Act 1956. So just for your information. Whenever you're applying, so anyone has heard of CT01, CT02, 3, 4? Are these terms familiar to you, or they are alien? Have you ever heard of these terms? So, application for permission to conduct CT of new drug, investigational new drug. So when you submit or when you apply, that is a CT04 form. And when that approval comes, it comes in the form CT06. So then, when you get that approval, your application form is CT04 and the approval is CT06, and that is valid for 2 years. Whereas I just discussed about BAB studies also. So application for permission to conduct BABE studies, the application form is CT05, and you receive the acknowledgement or the approval CT07, which you have to do annually. So, it is done every year. So these are the two differences in BAB study. So there are BAB centers you must have heard. Any one of you can name any name which comes to you when we say BAB centers or where the BAB studies are conducted? From maybe from Tumkur or Bangalore or any other where BAB studies are conducted. Have you heard of any name which comes in your mind? And maybe you are using those medicine from that particular company who are conducting the BAB trials. And yes, sir. Yes, any other? Okay. Yeah, so we all have heard name of this Biocon, right? So yes, so there are a lot of such BAB centers and where the BAB studies are conducted. When you see that name, you will know, oh, they are also conducting BAB studies and we didn't know about it. We have seen phases of clinical trials already, but what will happen if there is a non-compliance? So Central Licensing Authority has the right to issue warnings, okay, suspend the study and reject trial results. So study can be suspended. So what can be non-compliance? What do you mean by non-compliance? So non-compliance is untimely dosing. Not, we saw that AE was not handled properly. So these are all, the dosing was done maybe more than the time written in the protocol. There are various non-compliance. So if they come to know any non-compliance which is directly affecting the rights, the safety and wellness of the subject, then that is considered a serious threat to that particular organization. They can issue warnings, they can suspend the trial and debar PI or sponsor for certain time, and that time no one knows. So these are the complications if you don't comply with the protocol. Conditions for SAE occurrence. So I think we have seen this already, but failure of IP to show desired effect. So we have seen this absence of all this in SAE reporting we have seen. This in one of our presentation, very in just 2 lines, we discussed about ethics committee and the composition of ethics committee. Being an ethics committee member from past 8 years, one thing we know that unless the quorum is complete as per the rules, you cannot conduct the meeting. The quorum has to be complete. And what is the quorum? So this is the quorum: clinician, legal expert, medical scientist, lay person, social scientist. There are criterias for these members also. Now, when we say that a CT-BAB study protocol must be reviewed by at least 5 members of the EC as follows. This is a core quorum, but apart from this, there is a member secretary and clinician. And as we saw that member secretary and, sorry, not clinician, chairperson can be one of them. But this is the core committee that has to be there when you're discussing. And it can't be like today 3 people discussed, tomorrow another 2 people discussed, and the discussion happened. It has to be together. Each one of them should know what their opinion is, and the approval is given when all 5 members are present in one meeting. It cannot be divided. 2 members are discussing today, they gave their opinion, and 3 members discuss later and they gave their opinion, and combined they formed an approval letter. No. If any member is not showing up at the time of meeting, that meeting is either cancelled or postponed. The quorum is not met. Minimum 7 members from, so 7 members we say adding member secretary and chairperson, but we must understand that the vote of these 5 members is important. Member secretary vote will not be, chairperson definitely, if it is one of them, we cannot, and member secretary also if one of them, the vote, but individually these 5 votes count. And if any one member says that the approval, there is no majority base, that 4 members have approved and 1 member is saying no, it has to be a unanimous decision, and only then that study protocol or that BAB or clinical trial will be called approved by ethics committee. So every ethics committee has certain responsibilities irrespective of what they are discussing, which the study type they are discussing. So of course, review and approval of clinical trial protocols. So first they review. Review is what? They have certain dossier, which is where the criteria of that study is mentioned, the title of that study. Also, inclusion, exclusion criteria is mentioned in the protocol. The safety analysis from the previous study, if it is there, that they review. So mainly clinician, medical scientists, they review the safety analysis, and risk benefit analysis is discussed. Why we have legal member and why we have social scientist if it is only about the drugs and medical fraternity? We have these people because they are seeing the other aspects. The social scientist and the lay person will see whether any particular ethnicity or any particular class of people is being misused for this, because somebody they are taking from this community just because they are not getting the trial subject, and whether exploitation of any community is done, and whether the rights and well-being of the trial participant. That is why you have layperson and social scientist. In layperson we consider who is thinking, the name itself is layperson, so they don't know anything about the adverse effect and all that. They just see whether this subject is getting exploited or not. Why we need legal member? Because there are a lot of these regulations which they check the acts, the new acts, if it has come in the clinical research industry, then they have to verify that whether it is applicable to this particular protocol or not, and that is why a legal member in the committee. So each one of them have their defined role and responsibility. It has given a lot of thought in selecting this these 5 committee members, and each one have a different role and responsibility. They also review ongoing monitoring and oversight. Site monitoring is one of the most important aspect of ethics committee. You have approved the protocol, but you don't know whether it is going as per your approved protocol or there is any violation. So ethics committee has all the rights to go there, see the site, whether it is BAB site or clinical trial site, to go there, see the site. They can interact with the subject or the patients, that whether whatever they have signed on the informed consent, whether the treatment is according to that or not. That interaction can happen. They can see the hygiene and the overall infrastructure of the site. If it is whether they have any ICU there, because you may experience some SA where the ICU facility is needed. So all those things are checked when the EC is going for a site monitoring visit. This site monitoring is recorded and maintained for any further DCGI audits. If you have any surprise audits, they will ask whether your EC is going for site monitoring, and if yes, where is the report? Because if you have not documented, that means you have not done it. Informed consent review, that is one of the EC's responsibility, and review of SA, which we have already seen. So PI responsibility we have discussed when we discussed but that time some issue was there in this, so we couldn't see it on here. So these are the PI responsibilities. I'll just read them. Monitoring audit. So PI internally also does the site audit where the study is being conducted. Regulatory compliance. So all the now ethics committee, I missed one point. Your ethics committee will have two registrations, like one is CDSCO and one is DHR. Now the PI, when they are giving ethics committee the study up, for any approval or anything, they have to check whether the study that I'm giving is the ethics committee is suitable, whether the ethics committee has. So DHR, all the biomedical research and academic studies mainly will be approved by the ethics committee, which has DHR certification. And the BAB, clinical trial, medical device studies will be approved by CDSCO. So PI's responsibility is where I'm giving this study for review and approval. Whether that ethics committee has a valid registration or not is PI's responsibility. To check the informed consent, yes. Medical care, wherein all the types of medical care, the concomitant medications are given properly, and so SA, this all comes under medical care. Staff supervision is another PI's responsibility. The management of investigational products. You will get certain numbers, batch and labels of this IP, and whether this IP is being misused, anything which is missing or being misused directly comes to PI, and that comes under PI's responsibility. So management of investigational product, to check the investigational product going in the right hand and being used by the right person, is PI's responsibility. Safety reporting. So what do? They check all the documents are in place which is related to the study. And then the site initiation. What is the site initiation? Anyone has an idea what is site initiation means? And I am initiating the site means what exactly we do when we say site initiation? Can anyone answer, who have handled maybe trials or anything? So once you have all the documents in place, you go, you train your staff on that particular protocol and how the proceedings of the study is going to be. And after that, the recruitment can start. So this is also one of the responsibility under PI. Sponsor responsibility we have seen in detail, so maybe I'll just read it once. And medical management and compensation, provide treatment and pay compensation as per CDSCO order. Submission of trial reports, submit annual status reports. Now here, submission of trial reports. So trial not necessarily will get over in just 1 year. There are trials which are taking more than 1 or 2 years. So there has to be intermittent status report which has to be submitted, and that is a responsibility of a sponsor to submit that intermittent status report of the particular of the ongoing trial. Or if the trial is completed, then the status report of the trial has to be submitted, whether it is correct, what is the outcome, and whether it is as per what they had analyzed, whether it is as per that or not, it is stated here. Protocol and GCP compliance and insurance and indemnity. So insurance, like, ensure trial insurance and site investigator before the trial start. When I told you that what is the role of a legal member checks this, whether a proper insurance is there for this study or not, and whose responsibility is to acquire this insurance is sponsor's responsibility. So yeah, this formulae we have already discussed. So here we come to the end of our NDCTR, and this was the last presentation. Thank you for listening. We have certain MCQs for you, and after that we have a Q&A session if any one of you have any questions. So I would request my colleague, Ms. Raksha, to come and take a small MCQ session with you all. Thank you for listening. ಒಂದು MCQ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ.
Okay. At the end of the At this end of the session, I hope so you got a clear picture on the GCP, SAE, and NDCTR rules. And I have a few questions for you guys. And the first question is, in which phase of clinical trial is the treatment first tested in humans? Options are phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Yeah, correct answer.
You can clap for yourself if you want to for a correct answer.
Okay. The second question is, what is the primary objective of phase 3 clinical trial? Options are to assess the drug pharmacokinetic in animals, to evaluate the drug efficacy and monitor side effects in large population, to determine the optimal dosage in healthy volunteers, to conduct a post-marketing surveillance. What do you think the answer? Yeah, the answer is correct.
Very good.
And the third question is, which of the following is the core principle of GCP? The options are obtaining the informed consent from each trial participant before participation, maximize. Yeah, the option is correct. Yeah. And the fourth question is, according to the GCP, who is responsible for ensuring that the clinical trial is conducted in compliance with the protocol? What is the answer? Yeah. Yes. Yes. I'll go with this. Okay.
So, okay. So when so all of you are guessing the answer, or is it you've gone through this all these situations maybe in the trial or something? So that also we would like to know, that maybe like which of the following is core principle of good clinical practice, obtaining informed consent? Is it, have you seen this, or are you following this in your regular practice? Yeah, so that is where the answer comes from. Okay. What is the answer?
Yeah, what is the answer of fourth question? According to the GCP, who is responsible for ensuring the clinical trial? The investigator. And the question 5 is, which of the following is the primary responsible of the investigator in the clinical trial? The option A is monitoring the progress of the
Monitoring the progress of the trial.
and the option B is ensuring the safety and well-being of the trial participants, and option C is providing financial support for the trial, and option D is developing the trial protocol. Yeah, the answer is correct. The sixth question is, which document should be reviewed and approved by the IRB before initiating the clinical trial? Option A is investigator brochure, and option B is trial protocol, option C is case report form, option D is monitoring plan. Trial protocol, yeah.
All are okay with trial protocol? What is a CRF, if you all know? Anyone knows what is a CRF? And why not investigator brochure also? So, because trial protocol, I think most of you have answered trial protocol. Yeah. Okay. No, you have answered right. Don't worry. I was just asking if anyone knows what is CRF, case report form, or what is a monitoring plan. Are these terms in your regular use, or just guessing the answer? Yeah, answer is right. Yeah.
According to Schedule Y of Drug and Cosmetic Rule 1945, what time frame must be an investigator report a serious adverse event to the sponsor and the ethic committee? Why not 44, 48 hours?
So when we discussed NDCTR, this was one of the aspect and serious adverse event, that what has changed from Schedule Y and or in serious adverse event, the knowledge of SAE is considered the timeline. So that is why 24 hours of the knowledge of SAE, and that doesn't change whether it is Schedule Y or NDCTR. The 24 hours timeline, only the definition, the occurrence and the knowledge, only that word has changed, but 24 hours timeline remains the same, that they have to report the SAE within 24 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. The serious adverse event during a clinical trial must be, options are reported immediately to the investigator and sponsor within the time frame specified by the protocol. Option B is reported only if the serious adverse event leads to death or hospitalization. Option C is not reported if they occur in the placebo group, and option D is ignored if they are related to the investigational product.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you very much for taking the participation and answering almost everything correctly. So we have Q&A for, if you have any queries, he'll come with the mic to you and you can ask. I would request Mr. Sudhir to come and take the Q&A.
Any questions like which you are facing in your any your academic research, while writing the protocol, while execution, any questions are there, please feel free to ask. In practically, so far we have theoretically we are saying like what are the rules and regulations, but like we might have not answered your pain point which you are facing. Right. Good question. Insurance policy. Before 2019, this new drug clinical trial regulation, it was not mandatory. But after this NDCTR, like all kind of a research, there is a risk involved that insurance policy is mandatory. So if we talk about the clinical trial, 100% mandatory. Apart from clinical trial, the other risk, now the research which is conducting under the institute. So like it is recommended that institute should obtain the insurance policy to cover all the research which is getting conducted under the institute. So insurance policy has now become, still we can't say the mandatory, but it has been recommended by national ethical guideline of biomedical research that all research needs to get a coverage. So it is mandatory. Yeah, it is a recommended, sir.
Is it not a burden on the investigator, researcher?
That's what that is why, sir, the
When there
insurance
is no
policy is
sponsor, when
required.
there is no sponsor,
Ah.
is it not a burden to the?
It is a burden, so that is why the insurance policy, definitely there is a burden. So like as I said, like there are first of all it is a responsibility of the sponsor. Now you need to define in that particular research who is a sponsor. Let's say if it is an institute is a sponsor, then it is a responsibility of the institute to get the insurance. But let's say if I, as an investigator, if I am doing a research on my individual capacity, then I will become a sponsor. At that time, it is my responsibility as a sponsor to get the insurance if my research has involved risk.
Is there any special or a specific policy name?
No, there is no specific.
What amount has to be covered under the policy?
See, sir, it depends. Like the every what I have seen is depends on the sample size. Generally, there are 2-3 factors which they consider.
Is there any guidelines issued by the?
There is no guidelines, sir. It is a purely depends on the insurance agency. So recently, currently we are dealing with one of the insurance agency, and that study is a neurology related studies and data collection study. So what they have seen that almost 150 sample size, 150 subjects data we have to they receive in that, and in that per the kind of annual premium of some 2 lakh rupees, annual premium of 2 lakh rupees kind of the claim, I mean the insurance agency has given. So different there. Sometimes the BAB which we are talking about, in that what they are doing is they are taking in a 1 year like 1,000 subjects data we will collect over the year, like we will enroll 1,000 subjects and they will take a lump sum insurance agency for that.
Whether the researcher comes under the purview of the Consumer Protection Act, whether they are answerable to the Consumer Protection Act.
Consumer Protection Act.
If there is any untoward happenings in the during the trial,
they are
whether they are answerable to the Consumer Protection Act.
Sir, sorry, but Consumer Protection Act maybe not exactly that, but they are answerable to DCGI. Consumer
Consumer Protection Act regarding purely for compensation and damages.
But sir, here in our rule, that what the rule which we are following is under the DCGI, Drug Control General of India. So they are responsible, they are answerable to them, sir, because these all financial compensation policies are driven by the DCGI, sir, not the Consumer Protection Act, sir. I'm talking about the clinical research.
As per your experience, as per your training instructor, what is the suggestion given to the EC committee for obtaining the insurance policy? Whether it is a mandatory, you have told me.
Yes.
What is your recommendation to the EC?
So recommendation to EC is EC needs to ensure that the insurance policy is available whenever there is a research which involves the risk. Now risk, definitely the ethics committee can define what is the risk involved. If especially if there is a human participants are involved in that research, that particular research should have an insurance policy. Now whether that insurance policy is obtained by the sponsor or if it is a research which is under academic institute should provide a insurance policy, but it is required. So there are 2 recommendations. One is insurance policy and the research needs to be registered on the CTRI. So these 2 things has to be there.
The medical teaching colleges like this college,
Correct.
Either the sponsor or the institution has not taken any responsibility, then can demand the student to cover the insurance policy.
I mean, yes, then third is a students only, but ideally it is a responsibility of institute, sir. It is a responsibility of institute, yeah.
The clinical trials or result is not benefited to the institution. How the institution is responsibility? The student itself is the student is the responsibility for the retires and completes his PG post graduation course.
Right.
Isn't it?
Sir, true, but see, the if we go by the rule, I mean, I'm just talking about the rule like what it is, and because the student is doing the research under the institute, it is a institute like those who are promoting the research. So that's why the as per the rule, institute is becoming a sponsor. See, if you are going doing the research away from the institute in individual capacity, it is a different thing. But when it is under the institute, then as per the guideline, it is clearly written that institute is a sponsor. And if I mean, if the institute become a sponsor, then all liabilities comes on the sponsor. So that is how I am explaining. Maybe the benefits are there to the student, absolutely. Benefits are there to the institute also.
My last question, last and final question: under what rule it is a mandate to get insurance policy?
Okay.
What
So
is the rule?
yeah, so there is a sir, national, it is, we can't say is a rule, but it is a guideline, National Ethical Guideline of Biomedical Research 2017. This guideline has recommended, again I am saying, sir,
Recommend.
recommended, sir, there is,
Mandate is not a mandate.
exactly, sir. So that is what I am saying. Previously it was not even recommended. Now there is, they have recommended,
Precautionary measures they have recommended.
they have recommended. So as on today also, like there are institute, because I am doing the training at institute, and same questions is coming, like and institute, it is also, they are also not taking the insurance. Is it okay still? Yeah, this is fine. There is no, like the mandatory rule that you should go ahead and take the insurance, then only do the research. But it has been recommended now in this guideline that institute should obtain the insurance policy. Yeah, any other question? Please ask your questions. Any kind of a doubt. Let's see, the whether I have an answer or not. Yes, ma'am. Okay. How to become a GCP trainer? See, ma'am. Now, I mean, you can. Is everything comes by the experience, exposure? See, course means like there are many courses. There are many, uh, the courses under the CDSA, courses under different organization. There are different courses are there. The course is one, but that course also doesn't give, like okay, now you are a trainer, but maybe multiple, after that multiple experience, by giving a training or maybe the other education courses, if you have done, then yes, can be done, ma'am. DCGI.
If the sponsor fails to provide the compensation in such
Yes,
case,
correct. So it is, I think, clearly mentioned in the rule. Now, see, it is a rule. So, like, there first, I think, one important point I want to tell you that, the NDCTR is a rule. So when we break the rule, then there is a consequences. But there are certain guidelines. So let's say GCP is a guideline. Something is written in the GCP guideline, ICMR guideline, it is always recommended. But NDCTR, if it is written, it is a rule. Now what you said is a, if the sponsor fails to provide compensation, they have broken the rule. So now the consequences as per the rule is, they will, DCGI has a rights to stop the study which has been sponsored by them. That is one. DCGI has a rights to bar the sponsor for doing further study in the future, and the suspension of that study data. So it is, there are immediate consequences if they are failed to provide the compensation within time frame.
and what about the compensations?
Compensation has to be given, madam.
No, if they fail to provide,
So now
any
see,
other action?
so that is what, the action is, like the sponsor will be, their the suspensions, their study to be withdrawn, their the further cancellation, maybe the all kind of actions can be taken. But the so far, even what I have seen is, like the none of the experience we have come across. Even sponsors nowadays, the seriousness in the sponsor has come, that sponsor gives even more than that, the what has been recommended by them. They are immediate, because always that compensation has become a critical and always criticism for the sponsor. So they were very careful, especially on this aspect. Written contractor, correct. Exactly, sir. It is as per the rule. It can be questioned. It is a written contractor. Yeah. And even, sir, the along with the contract in the rules, NDCTR rules itself, it is clearly mentioned that sponsor is responsible for all this. They have, it is their liability. So it is a written contract, correct?
So DCGI will not provide any financial help in such
No,
cases.
DCGI will not provide, neither ethics committee, never, they will not get intervene. It is a responsibility of sponsor only, whoever is a sponsor. Ah. Sir, the after 2019, there is no major amendment in the NDCTR. There are, the minor changes keeps coming, but there is no major change in the NDCTR, sir. Anyone like you, anything which you are aware or something? Correct. It is there. It is there, sir. So there are actually they have come up with some minor changes. Like take example, the one which I remember is the ethics committee registration. So what happened that once you apply the ethics committee registration, they have to revert. The DCJ has to revert within 120 days. So now what the new amendment has come, they said, let's say if the DCGI does not revert in this time frame, then you can consider as a approved. So this kind of a, it's deemed approval, correct. This they brought in the amendment, sir. Any other question? Sir has a question.
We understood that it is quite complicated and cumbersome procedure to get the permission. But out of this, what is the margin of profit that the pharmaceutical is earning?
I mean, permission from whom, sir? To get a conversion, to get a permission
This
from?
procedure, you will get the permission, right?
Okay.
The drug, who are producing the drug will get the permission from the authority. And how much the pharmaceutical is earning?
So, I mean, that I don't have any straight answer for that. Doctor knows better than me.
The margin that they are earning.
Doctor knows better than me.
You are directly linked to that. That's why I'm asking you.
No, so yeah, I think so. What I say is like, yes, they are always ready to give a compensation, and they are very
More than what is
more than what is
required, they're giving.
Actually, sir, more than the money, they are worried about their reputation. Okay, so right now that is the main challenge which is happening, because I saw before 2019 the approach of the sponsor, and after 2019 when there is a clarity about the compensation and all, the approach of the sponsor has completely changed. They are more worried. So like what happened, as soon as their always responses, let's say any serious advertisement happen, any hospitalization happen, they will not delay any payments, or they will not delay any, the kind of they will not question on the amount. They will first priorities, let's pay and let's ensure that the patient gets stabilized. Their priority is maybe more than money, because they are worried, because you must have seen like there are a lot of criticism to the clinical research, and especially on this, I did not receive the compensations, they have not treated me properly. This kind of all litigation keeps happening. So they are more worried about their reputation, sir. So they are even though the DCJ comes up and say like this is the amount, they will first pay, then later they will settle, okay fine, this is the amount. So this kind of a seriousness, this is good also, sir. If you see about the industry, it is a good as well, but I don't have
at least
answer.
More than 50%.
I don't know, maybe. Yes, any questions if you are doing? We'll take one group pic, ma'am. Group photograph, possibly.
Thank you both the organizers. Now I request our principal sir, Brahmadevaya sir, and Mr. Manju Prakash, our advocate of the institute, and Shivlila madam to come to the dais to felicitate our today's organizing speakers. That's Sudesh sir and madam. Please come and occupy the chair, ma'am. Please come. Now I request all our delegates to come. Delegates sitting on the back seat, please occupy the first seats. You are the main center point of today's program. Occupy the front seats. I want to take photos. Come fast. Quickly, lunch is waiting for you outside.
Gamadani